Today on r/MaliciousCompliance. Sure, everyone can come in. Friend of mine who we'll call Buddy said I could share this. Background. Buddy worked for a company that got on the hybrid WFH train early. He got his job around 2012. These events take place around 2016. We live in NJ, and his office was in NYC. His contract said that he had to be in 1 day a week, same day each week, and up to 5 days a month, so 1 additional day on top of his weekly day. If work brought him in more than that, he got paid his hourly billable rate for his commute, and any extra hours. His commute was 1.5 to 2 hours each way, so that could quickly add up to hundreds or thousands of hours. Other than a couple of full-time and office folks, his coworkers had similar contracts and had to be in 1 to 8 times a month, and some lived as far away as Boston or DC. They worked in a well-paid niche consulting field, so I guess this was worth it to everyone. On to the story. Buddy's company has a client who is very old school, and their point of contact is a jerk. On a video call, the client notices that some staff do not appear to be in the office, before blur was as common, and demands that all of the work done for their contract be done in an office, rants about professionalism. Buddy's manager simply says okay. Manager calls a meeting afterwards with Buddy's team. He knows they're upset but asks them to prepare to come into the office daily for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Tells them to keep very careful track of receipts, costs, time, etc. And asks them to trust him. For the people who live further away, tells them he'll help set up accommodations for them, and their families if necessary. Because the company treats people well, everyone goes along with it with minor grumbling. About 5 weeks go by, everyone is coming in daily. Remember when I said that most people didn't come in? So yeah, not much space in the office. The company liked teleworking because it allowed them to have an NYC headquarters, but not much space. Everyone keeps careful track of commuting costs, etc., time, and is getting reimbursed for their travel time and everything they are owed. This includes some folks who had contracts that covered lodging if they had to come in more than a day or two in a row. Then one day the manager tells them they can go back to their regular schedule. Everyone notices jerk client is gone, but that the client company is still their client. Later on, Buddy finds out what happened. As per the terms of the contract, the client had to pay for all of that overage. Frustrating for the employees, but Buddy said no one was too mad knowing that it was temporary. Buddy's manager also knew that the same jerk point of contact had been a jerk. He had apparently gotten tired of being asked to sign contract modifications. Buddy said usually these were set at modifications over 1K or something, but this guy had thought these sign-offs were below him, and so set that threshold much higher, something like 100K. Due to the wording of the contract, this was 100K per change, not total. So in the 5 weeks that everyone was coming in full-time, he had managed to cost his company a few $100,000, but since each individual employee was a single change, no one noticed until the next billing cycle. Jerk got called out by his own company and they tried to contest the payment. Turns out the contract was very clearly written and the client had to pay. On top of that, this is a pretty niche field, and so the client didn't really have many other options if they wanted to change consultants at that point. Jerk point of contact got fired, and according to Buddy's manager, couldn't really find work in their smallish field. Buddy and his coworkers got a nice chunk of money. For our next story. Complain to everyone about your work if you must, but you're done working here equals 10 years wages. So every morning I walk my dog at the off-lead dog park. As it's a small town, all the dog walkers have become friendly. I, mid-40s, made friends with June, 75 to 80. June told me this lovely MC story from about 25 years or more ago. June was working as a school teacher and was retraining as a social worker. She left teaching for 2 years working as a social worker when her previous school asked her and run a class for at-risk children. The deal was she would teach children aged 12 to 18, grade 7 to 12, who come from backgrounds of emotional and physical abuse. The job was causal, so she didn't get paid for holidays, sick leave, etc. She was supposed to teach 6 kids with an aide, but ending up with 20 kids and no teacher's aide. As you can imagine, their behavior was terrible. She believed she could help, and she said she did make some real differences. The work was really stressful, but she was passionate about it. After 3 years and multiple promises of making her a permanent staff member, getting an aide plus smaller classes, June was burnt out. She demanded help from the principal, who refused and told her since she has complained, it's for the last time, and sacked her. He told her she is causal and she go complain to everyone and everywhere, but as a casual worker you have little rights. So June did complain to everyone: school inspector, the union, Department of Education. It was a state school, and even her local member of parliament, who told her she has had a tough deal, but this is the life of a casual worker. She finally complained to the state authority that deals with safe work practices. They were interested as the school has breached state policy on class sizes for special needs kids, teacher aides providing a safe environment, etc. They ordered the Department of Education to pay her workers' compensation while they sorted it out. So now June was paid each fortnight, including leave and all benefits. 52 weeks a year instead of 40. The fallout was big after the investigation. Lots of people sacked or moved on. What this did was leave June without a boss. The Safe Work Practice Department closes the case as they believe it was now a Department of Education matter to pay June out. Everyone has forgotten about June and she got lost in government paperwork. They still paid her, and she kept quiet. It took 10 years before they found her in an employee audit. Then they paid her out. June was ready to retire about then, so it worked out beautifully. Let's dive into our next story. Want the electricians to camp out in your area? Be careful what you wish for. I worked at a major consumer products manufacturer as a maintenance electrician. We handled electrical repairs and troubleshooting for the whole factory. The front-end department started having production problems and the plant manager was not happy. Now the front end was very dirty and noisy, so we as electricians didn't want to spend a lot of time there, but we took our responsibilities seriously and worked quickly to address electrical problems. Well, the front-end supervisors decided that the electricians were the problem and requested an electrician be stationed there 24/7, when the real problem was the lack of mechanical maintenance on the machines and poor repairs by the mechanic. Our boss was absolutely no help and he agreed with the request. Now on to the malicious compliance. We decided to embrace the assignment with a twist. Since we were required to spend our 12-hour shift on the front end, we started a log. We documented every mechanical problem on every machine, and brought that log to every production meeting. Pretty soon the production supervisors were getting called on the carpet about the mechanical problems, and then they decided that they didn't need the electricians stationed in the front end. Our last story for today. Nobody passed the yellow line? Gotcha! It's going to sound like it's fairly reasonable to start. But trust me, it gets silly real quick. Yes. I had just started work at one of the big railway companies as a safety officer and customer service rep. Now as you can imagine, that is basically herding sheep and not very effectively. People have places to go, but I'd rather they didn't end up unalive. During probation, one of the bosses got moved to my station. Now this guy could not have fit the police description of up his bosses behind more if he'd tried. Looked like he spent the last 40 years dreaming of having a badge on with significance, and by God he was going to use it. On the platform of every station there is a yellow line on the floor, few feet from the edge, to signify where not to walk lest the turbulence turns you into a train's doormat. Simple stuff, and when a train is pulling up, you're to keep everyone behind it. No issues so far. That's literally my job. Now for weeks he'd been a stickler for his way, but he would mask it as this came from head office, but on this particular day, whatever bee was in his bonnet came out in full force and he was masking nothing. Once a train was stopped, so long as you don't have a full gaggle at the door, we usually have no issues with one or two people. You know, a London crowd who won't wait. Being next to the door ready, it's efficient if nothing else. The train had stopped, 3 people were waiting for the doors to open, they did, the train left. This guy starts shouting from literally the other platform, in front of other travelers, roasting the crap of me. Safety yes, but this was obscene. So he decided to enact a rule of his own. If you want to pass this probation, I want to see everyone behind that yellow line for a full 30 seconds before you signal to let the doors open. If a single person moves, you talk to them about safety, and wait again. So let me get this straight, that 30 seconds resets for every time someone else doesn't listen and crosses the line. Did I stutter? Did you effing what? Oh, you're on, sweet child. What? Across that day, I was honestly looking at my watch more than I was anything else. Remember, it's for your safety after all. Plot twist? Dual line station, one into the city, one on the way to London. No way past it. If a train is delayed, nothing else moves. Cue about 2 hours later, and sure enough the dweeb behind manager comes charging down the platform. What the hell are all these delays for? I've got head office tearing us a new one. Just making sure we adhere to the 30 seconds, boss. I've never had so much feedback about safety. Well, the feedback I'm getting is we now have a near 10 train bottleneck at this station. Firstly, it's you have a bottleneck, not us. Second, I'm merely doing exactly as you asked. His face dropped, clearly understanding what had happened. Right then, well, you can talk to the area manager and explain this for yourself because he's going to be here in about 15 minutes. He's coming here. Deal. Did he go as white as a ghost? Yes. Did he try stopping me seeing the area manager? Yes. Was he successful? Heck no. What ensued was maybe a 20-minute conversation between me and the area manager, me finding out that this manager had been moved more than a few times for various issues. The meeting between them two lasted probably 90 seconds if that, and then a very sheepish-looking manager slowly slinked up to me, and in the lowest voice ever said, You're doing a good job. I trust you to use your judgment with the onboarding process," and then immediately scuttled away. He's moved on since, but apparently it was a personal request this time, can't think why. And those are all the stories we have for today. See you tomorrow.